Hey y'all, I'm I-78. Happy Thursday. Good afternoon. We are currently waiting for President Biden and Vice President Harris to come out and speak to their plan for lowering prescription drug costs. From my understanding, there have been several medications that they are going to speak about where the price has already been lowered, but this is actually taking place in Maryland today. So we are waiting for them to come speak. So why is everybody standing up? Is this a standing room only event? I don't know. Some people don't want to dress no more. And you going to hit somebody. If you got on again a baseball cap, a t-shirt, and all this sort of thing. Like, what we doing there? Hey, culture, how are you? Okay. Appreciate you stopping by, keeping us, you know what I'm saying, hopefully informed and entertained during your work day. We greatly appreciate it. Hi, Ed, Jen. Exactly. My my whole thing has been, and I mean, you have to kind of do what you can. Um, but they're focusing on medications that the majority of Americans don't need. Um, about 11% of the total population takes some form of insulin. So something that's only helping 10% of the population, I don't really consider that a win. Lowering medical insurance would be a win for everybody because everybody's using that. But you coming on talking about, okay, yeah, I'm making um autism medication, cheaper doesn't do anything for me because I don't have autism. Like, yeah, yeah, lowering the cost of medical insurance as a whole would be way more beneficial. Way more beneficial. Wow, as a utility worker, you're paying 200 a week for your family's benefit. That's like $800 a month, and $1,000 on 5 weeks. That's crazy. That is insane. I feel like if you, no, let me go back. I am of the opinion if you have put in at least 5 years with your company, you shouldn't even have to pay for health coverage anymore. You've proven, you know what I'm saying, to be a what I would consider a valued worker. So, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's the least they can do for you. Go ahead and pay for that medical insurance. That is crazy. Wait a minute, what? No, that's this y'all paying the same amount and he got up. That's crazy. You know what I'm thinking about my mom. Yeah, about it was about 200 a month, but yeah, they ain't cover anything. I got bills rolling in here, uh, left and right. That is insane. So how many people total are we talking about, Ed? Yeah, 11,000. Okay. Sure. We're going to Starbucks today, y'all. Yay! Mm, you can do it. You should be. Oh, sure, yeah. You got to bring it over there. Uh, you can bring it over. Hold up, y'all. This just came across my Twitter while we waiting. Um, what was this? A guy named Patrick Webb, or he said this is actually from yesterday afternoon. Saying a conflict of interest concerns emerged as new records reveal that Dana Walden, host of ABC News debate between Trump and Harris on September 10th, has contributed $11,250 to Harris Attorney General race. So when Kamala ran for Attorney General, apparently one of the people who's supposed to be a moderator in this debate donated to her campaign, and then also donated another 11,000 when she ran for Senate. And 13,900 when she was running for president initially. Um, they're also saying that Walden has hosted fundraisers for Harris in her home in Brentwood, California. Oh yeah, this all kind of conflict of interest, ma'am. We gonna need you to go sit down. So apparently, she's also a member of the Biden administration. He appointed her to the president's export council last year. Let's see what the president's export council is. Yeah, ma'am. We on me. You can't be on. You can't be on here. Really, y'all. All right. President's export council serves as principal national advisory committee on international trade. They identify and examine problems regarding to the effects of industrial practices on export trade, as well as the need for industry to improve its export efforts and recommend solutions to these problems. They survey and evaluate report expansion activities which reflect ideas. Child, are you serious? So you basically you know everything what's going on, and you gonna try to get up on. Damn, can y'all do anything about a book? Y'all got a lot going on. What's going on with the people? Okay.
Please welcome Prince George's County Executive Angela Also-Brooks.
Okay, here we go.
Hello. Well, good afternoon and hello. How are you all feeling today? You feeling fantastic? You look wonderful. Let me just ask you a question. How lucky are we to have Joe Biden as our president? And how incredibly proud are we to have Kamala Harris as our vice president? And I believe, and I think you'd agree with me, they have done an outstanding job. Well, I am so proud. I'm Angela Also-Brooks, County Executive here in Prince George's County. And we are Prince George's proud to have the Vice President and President here today to discuss the tremendous progress of their administration. Today, the President and Vice President are here to discuss all of the work that they have done to lower costs for Americans. And what we know is that men and women across our community, our state, and our nation, they work so hard every single day to provide for their families. Now, some of us are students working hard in school so that we can live a better life. We know that some in our community are caregivers who are working hard to make sure that our loved ones have what they need to stay healthy. We know that there are some who show up for work and they do so before the sun even shows up to start the day. We know that even if our lives look different, we are all doing our part. Now, no matter where we're from or what we look like, don't we all believe that we deserve to have quality food on the table? Yes. We know that our children deserve the single best education that we can provide them. Yes. We know that working people everywhere should share in America's prosperity. Now, I have to say once again, and I know that you agree, that no one believes this more and no one's done it better than President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. They have worked tirelessly every single day to lower costs for hardworking families. In fact, lowering costs for Americans is the #1 priority of this administration. And it's clear they're making progress. Now, President Biden and Vice President Harris have successfully, and this is so significant, capped the out-of-pocket cost of insulin at $35.
Why are y'all clapping like all y'all taking insulin?
Part of a bigger fight to lower the cost of prescription drugs, and you're going to hear more details about this today, but it is historic. It is historic for those who have done everything right, those who are like my parents, who've done everything right, who have aged only to find that they cannot afford the cost of out-of-pocket prescription drug medications. Well, the Biden-Harris administration has answered. 10 new drugs now will be lowered as a result of their work.
10 drugs, okay.
And guess what? They have not stopped there. They've defended Social Security, which, yes, one of the most important social programs of our lifetime, has been protected. Have protected our seniors now for 89 years.
Well, he ain't been president 89 years, so that you can't take credit for that.
Hardworking people, how do we afford the cost of living? You should know that they have likewise lowered overdraft fees, holding banks accountable when they try to take too much.
Now banks have implemented new fees to supplement those lost fees.
And some who've been in college or graduate school a long time ago, but let's hear it now for how they have improved the student loan system, helping thousands.
I haven't gotten one penny in forgiveness, reduction, any of that.
Promise made, promise delivered, that they have helped thousands of borrowers to erase their debt while holding loan servicers accountable. Now, they have also cracked down on all kinds of price gouging, junk fees, and have you heard of shrinkflation? This is something also that they are working on. And for those who don't know what that is, have you bought a box of cereal lately only to discover that what's in the box is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, right? Yeah, the greedflation. That means you show up now at the grocery store. How many know that grapes are $9 in the grocery store? So they're cracking down. And guess what? They've never lost sight of a simple fact. America does well when Americans are thriving. So let's thank President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris for their tireless efforts on behalf of hardworking American families. And I'd also like to say on behalf of Prince George's County, how grateful we are that this is the third time their administration has visited Prince George's County in just the last 2 months. Yes. And so one more time, on their third visit here, let's welcome President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris to Prince George's County. Thank you.
Please welcome Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Chiquita Brooks LaSure.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chiquita Brooks LaSure, the administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Our programs cover over 160 million Americans through Medicare, Medicaid and CHIP, and Affordable Care Act coverage. President Biden and Vice President Harris are committed to making care more accessible and affordable than ever, providing high-quality health care for all Americans, no matter what they look like, where they live, or how much money they make. This administration's legacy boasts many firsts, and today's announcement represents a huge first in the history of healthcare, which is decades in the making. Because of the Biden-Harris administration's new prescription drug law, for the first time ever, CMS was able to negotiate directly with drug companies to get a better deal for Medicare. And we did it. We reached agreement on new prices for all 10 drugs selected for the first year of negotiation. These 10 drugs are some of the most costly and frequently used drugs in the Medicare program. These medications treat diabetes, heart disease, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, and more. This will save billions of dollars, not just for the government, but also directly for the seniors and people with disabilities who are on Medicare. These savings will also help protect Medicare for the long term.
Because this
so
dry.
It's just as strong for our
Hey,
children's children. For For so many, being able to afford these medications will mean the difference between debilitating illness and living full lives. These negotiated prices, they are not just about costs. They are about helping to make sure your aunt, your mother or father, your grandfather, or you can live longer and healthier. And the prescription drug law has already had an impact. Today, people with Medicare are already receiving meaningful savings on prescription drugs like insulin and vaccinations so that people don't have to choose between life-saving medications and other basic needs. Next year, every person with Medicare prescription drug coverage will have their costs capped at $2,000. And the 10 drugs that we're announcing today are just the beginning. CMS will be negotiating the price of more drugs in the coming years. We thank President Biden and Vice President Harris for their tireless dedication to improving the health of all Americans. Thank you, and please enjoy the remainder of the program.
Please welcome Department of Health and Human Services, Secretary Javier Becerra.
Wait a minute. I think some of you made a mistake. The Beyonce and Taylor Swift concert is about 5 miles that way. This is for the other two superstars, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Okay, I'm going to tell you something you already know. We pay way too much for prescription drugs in America. I know you've heard this story too. How many of you have that grandmother, the uncle, the neighbor who has to cut their pills in half so they can last longer, or who has to skip a dose of the medicine so they can wait till they can afford to buy the next batch of medicines that they need? That is not America, where you cannot take your medicine.
It's been America the
when
whole
you
time
need
I've been alive. Let's stop playing.
And it is time to fix a broken drug pricing system.
Why are we waiting till 4 months before the end of your term?
So guess what?
Done, sir. Why are we waiting so long?
Somebody's doing it. President Joe Biden made a promise. He was going to lower your costs in healthcare. He was going to make sure more of you had that insurance. And he was going to make sure your benefits were better. Well, take a look at the Inflation Reduction Act. The president delivered on his promise. Today is the proof of that. We are lowering the price of prescription drugs. And guess what? The president was dogged in getting this across the finish line. But it would not have become law unless the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, had cast the tie-breaking vote to make it the law. So if you or someone you know is getting insulin today for your diabetes at $35 or less a month, thank you, Joe Biden, and thank you, Kamala Harris. If you know someone on Medicare who today didn't have to pay a single penny to get that shingles vaccine, you don't want shingles, that shingles vaccine for no cost, thank you, President Joe Biden. Thank you, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Shingles. How many people really get shingles every year?
And if you happen to be one of those unfortunate Americans who has cancer but is fortunate to be on these cancer drugs that might save your life but cost thousands of dollars. And next year, starting next year, the most you'll have to pay out of pocket in Medicare is $2,000 altogether. Thank you, Vice President Kamala Harris. Thank you, President Joe Biden. And I know someone here will recognize the name of Januvia. That is a drug that treats, there we go, there's a hand that went up right there. As you know, that's a drug that treats diabetes, right? You know how much the company that makes Januvia lists it as its cost? $527.
That's cheap.
Well, we engaged in negotiation because we think we can get a better
Pick
price.
the one that most people
At
don't
the
take,
end of
and
our
it's
negotiations,
already
you know what price they're going to charge Medicare?
considered cheap.
$113. That's a 79% savings. Some of you may know about the drug Farxiga. That's to treat heart and kidney disease.
Mm-hmm.
The drug company that makes Farxiga charges $556 for a month's supply of that drug. We negotiated that drug for Medicare, $178.50. Because President Biden and Vice President Harris made the Inflation Reduction Act, which I call the President and the Vice President's lower cost prescription drug law, because they made it possible, today we can talk about these drugs that you and I and your loved ones need, costing far less, so you can afford to take them as you need them, not cut them up in half, not have to skip a day, because you deserve to have your health regardless of what some drug company wants to make in profits. That's what your right is under this president and this vice president. And guess what? Guess what? Because the president wanted to do right by you and the vice president wanted to do right by you, not only are they reducing the price of those drugs, they're saving us all a ton of money, including all you taxpayers out there who don't take those drugs. Because guess what? This negotiation, just these 10 drugs, is going to save the Medicare program and taxpayers who will pay for it $6 billion 1 year. And those Americans who take one of those 10 drugs today, you pay out of pocket some of your money, because sometimes you have to pay some of the money beyond what Medicare pays for you. Those Americans, when these prices take effect, because they won't take effect until January 1st, 2026. But when they do, you all are going to be saving, just in these 10 drugs, about $1.5 billion out of your own personal pockets.
So we got to wait until 2026 to see if this is actually true.
It makes a difference who's leading this country. And I believe you are ready to see more people like President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris who want to work for you. And you want people who make a promise and keep it. And we all are going to work really hard because we want to continue to drive down the price of those prescription drugs. Let us do it together under the leadership of our leaders, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Secret Service man is looking real unaffected. Real unaffected. Like, okay.
Please welcome Senator Ben Cardin.
Well, hello. President Biden's in the House. Vice President Harris is in the House. Are we ready, Maryland, to say thank you to the President and Vice President? I am so honored to represent you in the United States Senate, and I bring greetings from my seatmate, Chris Van Hollen, who's worked tirelessly to reduce the cost of prescription drugs. He sends his best. He's sorry he couldn't be with us. We do have Team Maryland here. Governor Moore will be here. You heard from County Executive Officer Brooks. We're all here to say thank you. Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, Vice President Harris, for what you've done for Maryland and our nation. You stood by us during the tragedy of the Key Bridge, being with us every step of the way. You protected our Chesapeake Bay. You passed legislation, the PACT Act, to help our veterans. You've helped us with building an infrastructure in our country. You protected jobs with the CHIPS and Science Act. You took on the gun industry with the Safer Communities Act. And 2 years ago, we signed into law the Inflation Reduction Act. We're here to celebrate that. We're here to celebrate what that means. Because as Secretary Becerra just said, it's going to help us control inflation. How? Reducing $6 billion of unnecessary taxpayer costs in the first year with negotiated prescription drug costs. That's a big savings. Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Whatever. You always want to be contrary.
The Inflation Reduction Act helps us put a cap.
If you don't believe in what you're doing, then you're
prescription
not going to
drug
do a good job. So
costs.
you need to be looking like you give a shit about who.
And we know the direct savings in regards to insulin, the $35 a month cap, saving an average family over $500 a year. These are big savings as a result of the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act. But how did this happen? I got to take you back over 20 years ago when, with only Republican support, Big Pharma won a big victory in Congress when the legislation prohibited the government from negotiating price on prescription drugs. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did something about that and reversing that policy.
What do you mean by that?
The bill that was signed 2 years ago removed that restriction. It was passed by Democratic votes alone, and the controlling vote, the deciding vote, was cast by Vice President Kamala Harris. She passed that because she's president of the Senate. President's a good title for her. So we're here to celebrate. The 10 drugs that we've negotiated those prices. This is just the beginning. We'll save in the first year the $6 billion for taxpayers, $1.5 billion for the users of these drugs. These are big victories to celebrate, and that's why we're here, to say thank you to the president, thank you to the vice president for what you've done for our nation. You've delivered for Maryland, and you've delivered for Americans. And we're here to say thank you, and we're so proud that you are with us today. So let me just conclude by saying thank you for allowing me to represent you in the United States Senate. These last years have been, I think, the most productive because of the leadership of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Thank you. God bless.
Please welcome Governor Wes Moore.
What's going on, Maryland? What's going on, Prince George's County? Man, I love y'all back. I love y'all back. Listen, I'm ready. Y'all ready? I got to tell you right now, we got a couple folks who are back here. In a few minutes, you're going to hear from not just the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden. You're also about to hear from the 47th President of the United States, Kamala Harris. It feels good, don't it? It is great to be here. It is great to be here in Prince George's. It is great to be here at Prince George's Community College. We're some of the most amazing leaders in our state. This is where they are bred. This is where they are trained. And this is where they will continue to lead this state and this country. Prince George's Community College, you are amazing. And I got to tell you, it also feels good to be here, particularly for the kind of announcement that we're about to make. I love you back. But God bless y'all. God bless y'all. Y'all, I love y'all. But listen. I am so, listen, y'all need to hold up because we're trying to bring the president and vice president out here, y'all.
Wes, these people ain't crunk like that. Get on with it, sir.
When I say how important it is to be here, particularly for the kind of announcement that we're about to make. Because as we've seen, elections have consequences. And the reason that we are about to hear the kind of announcements and the kind of work that have happened is because 4 years ago, we elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be the leaders of our country. And it means a lot being here because, well, people might not know, I was born less than 20 miles away from where we're standing right now. And some of my earliest memories were right in these areas. And some of my most traumatic memories. Because when I was just 3 years old, I watched my father die in front of me because he didn't get the health care that he needed. I don't come from a family that's used to making policies. I come from a family that's used to suffering the consequences of them. And so to be here in this moment, I'm here to say that this moment right now, this is personal.
So your daddy got sick and dropped dead in front of you all during Trump's time as president.
Who sees us and who fights for us. Because my father had a rare but a treatable virus. But when he went to the hospital, his clothes were disheveled and his face was unshaven. And when my mother showed up at the hospital, they asked my mother questions like, is your husband prone to exaggeration? And he was released from the hospital with the instructions to go home and get some rest. And hours after they released him, he died in front of me.
How's that Trump's fault?
So understanding that we have an obligation to make sure that our healthcare system never overlooks any of us.
I know what's going on.
Knowing that for so many of us here today, we have been shaped by a brokenness of a healthcare system. That we know that we had fundamental work to do because in many cases, the issues that we are discussing, these are not academic. We do not need white papers to explain it because we have grown up in it. So today is an important moment because this is what we know. Today is a chance for us to go from being unseen and untreated, for so many people to not have an opportunity to have basic insurance and know that basic insurance is something that is affordable. Today is a day to know that because of the remarkable leadership of President Biden and Vice President Harris, that this country continues to move forward, and we can and we will be a country that sees all of us and not just some of us. Because what this administration is doing, this administration is saying, we are not just going to pave over the cracks, we're going to fix the infrastructure.
We'll bring the cost of health care down. Quit worrying about
protected our basic rights and made sure
of
that
course
our
you
basic
didn't,
rights
Kim.
are affordable.
Of course you did.
And that's what today is
Hey,
all
Rick,
about.
how you doing?
That today we join in partnership.
Exactly, Rick. Exactly. My whole point. It's over 20,000 prescription medications currently on the market, and y'all up in here talking about these 10 that most people don't even use. It's doing something. 4 months before it's time to go.
It is going to ensure that in these United States, that access to critical medication isn't a privilege. That is
you gotta go. You gotta be able to go to the doctor to get the medication first. Why y'all skipping over the main part?
That we use
the medication is the back end. Getting the opportunity to get it is the front part. They ain't nobody talking about.
Something that we all can afford. And we know the movements of this administration that this is not the first and it won't be the last.
Hey, Dover.
And they know that in our Maryland, they have a full partner inside this work.
And my sister live in Maryland. I'm disappointed. And
that
next time I see him, I will be letting him know.
Continue to be a full partner with this administration to protect, to defend, and to strengthen the basic rights that we cherish. That in our Maryland,
that part,
we are
culture,
working
that
to
part
lower
right
drug
there.
Costs through our first in the nation prescription drug affordability board. That in our Maryland, we are protecting critical investments in Medicaid. Maryland is leading the country in Medicaid re-enrollment.
Said we didn't?
So Maryland families can have access to affordable health care no matter where they call home.
But see, you only show up over here. You wasn't over here yesterday when we was talking about, you know what I'm saying, Trump and Vance and all of them. You weren't here for that.
That also includes the fact that in November, we've got a chance to vote, y'all. We've got a referendum on the ballot, and that referendum will be to codify reproductive freedom in our Constitution, because this is health care.
Thank you, bitch. That part right there.
So together, we are going to build a future that is more affordable. We are going to build a future that is more accessible. And we are going to build a future
what you going to do about not being able to ride through PG County without getting your car shot up? When we going to get into that, Wes?
Who calls Largo
See, that requires health care too. Getting shot in behind something you ain't had nothing to do with. That requires going to the hospital.
We got some UMs in here, huh?
And I'm pretty sure you're going to be disheveled when you get there.
And no matter where you call home, you should be able to afford treatment for your arthritis. Whether you are a Marylander that happens
treatment
to
for arthritis, it's pain numbing medication. You can't
you should not have to worry about choosing between rent and the drugs that you need that's going to support you after you have a stroke. That together we're going to build a future that people like my father won't be turned away.
What you say, Coach? Child care, yeah, they're not into that violence.
Everybody is seen.
Oh yeah, they not into the violence.
Everybody's supported.
I mean, he in that suit though, Fish. I ain't gonna front, but he need to quit playing.
And everybody will know that our future will be incomplete without them. That's our future. That's what we're going to work for. And together,
because the West Thanksgiving got a whole story, and I can say that because I feel with the she about 2 minutes outside of PG County. I know exactly what I'm talking about.
We are going to build a future where we leave no one behind. God bless you guys, and thank you so much for all you are.
Sat on the head and rainbow flag. Like they keep all of it. Trump already signed a limit for President Clinton. Yeah. But Rick, you already know them saying the diabetes and the high blood pressure and the heart disease. That's emotional to black people because that's most of the shit that we suffer from. So soon as you just put that and say, oh, they're gonna do something to help us. So yeah, that's how they end up falling for that foolishness. That's all. I'm supposed to be here buying my cup. That's the round. Go on. Or you said you get one script for free, one for cholesterol, $12 refills. I ain't complaining. But if they want to pay me to take my meds, that's cool too. Okay, yeah, I don't do not none of my shit free. Hey, Eric. You said fear. Yeah, fear my reality. You know how this go. But again, we just want to see what's being said. Just want to see what's being said. You know how we do. Uh-uh. It's on the floor. Real, yeah. I don't like milk. So that yeah, I did. I don't know what's my bad for it. I mean again, yeah. Oh, I ain't no telling. And again, I mean but you could say that with anything. There are going to be some people who are, you know what I'm saying, gonna be able to benefit from this. But if we're talking about 11%, we're just gonna stick with insulin because that's the claim to fame right now. It's the $35 cap on the insulin. So if 11% of the total population in the United States is using insulin, how many people in it? Hold on. Okay, so 342 estimated billion people. Wait, hold on. 342 million people. So we're talking 11% max of that uses insulin. It's about 30 some million people. But the other 300 million that don't. What we get? Yeah, because you don't think they came in. They came in much later. The people who was already them. The other people was there long before they showed up, and then they showed up, and it was like the cluster. So ain't no telling. I'm gonna be quiet.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Judy Aiken. I'm a 70-year-old retired registered nurse from Portland, Maine.
Okay.
Where I live with my husband of 47 years, our 2 beagles, and our son and granddaughter live nearby. Also, for over 4 decades, I've battled psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis. That's taken a heavy toll on my body.
This is a nurse, man.
But nothing could prepare me for the financial strain that came with the high cost of the drugs I need to live my life, including Enbrel, which comes with a staggering list price. Last year alone, I spent over $9,000 out of pocket just to afford this one drug. As a nurse, I counseled patients on the importance of taking their medications consistently, but I have to admit that sometimes I found myself unable to follow my own advice and have been known to skip a dose here and there. For years, it felt like no one was standing up to Big Pharma for patients like me. But thanks to President Biden and Vice President Harris's Inflation Reduction Act, that is changing.
You did this shit for 3 damn decades. You in your last few years, and now you trying to act.
Enbrel is one of the first 10 drugs up for Medicare negotiation. The thought of a lower list price for this essential medication feels like
I can agree with that.
President Biden didn't just make a promise, he kept it. Because of the Biden-Harris administration's actions, my husband and I can finally breathe a little easier.
Y'all do know that after 20 years, prescription patent runs out, so it normally goes over the counter. So if you've been going through this shit for 30 years, you trying to tell me none of this shit you was taking back in the day work no more that you can get over the counter?
Joe Biden,
we're gonna try this again.
Vice President Kamala Harris.
Let's try this again. Damn lies. I started taking Claritin when it first came out. I still take that shit today. It still works. It's over the counter. I'm still paying about the same $10 I was paying when it was a prescription. What are we talking about? Y'all lying. And why y'all at the community college? Why y'all ain't at the arena? Yeah, part culture. I'm just saying. So we gonna stop with the goofball nonsense. I've been sick for 30 years, but I only started taking medication in the last 8.
Can we please applaud Judy?
Let me hear this, y'all. I'm stop talking.
I love you back. Oh, it's good to see so many friends. It is good to see so many friends, and
Rick
I
ain't
want
happy.
to thank you. Thank you, and let's please thank you. I love you back.
How she talking for Joe? Hey, the president.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know we all thank Judy for sharing her story. I think we all know it takes a very special person who has dedicated
we ain't never seen Judy
to
till
do
today.
the work that Judy
Well,
has
that's
done
your
as
advocate.
a nurse.
Okay.
That work being what? To care about other people in a way that is about lifting them up and caring about their well-being. So Judy, we thank you so very much for being here today. I want to recognize the incredible Governor Wes Moore. Who's here with Don and their son. And
good
Wes,
point, Fish.
I'm so thankful to you for all that you do in service to our nation in so many different ways. And your friendship, but in particular,
I was
to
gonna
share
leave
such
all
a
of that
personal
alone.
story as you have, and I know it takes a lot out of you to share that story, but to do it in a way that is about lifting up other people and helping, hopefully, others who are not in this room, understanding how real people are impacted every day about this issue and by this issue. Thank you. I want to recognize the people of our administration, including Secretary Becerra, who is here. The bold administrator, Brooks LaSure, who is here. My dear friend and former colleague, Senator
They're not worried about that.
Cardin.
They ain't thinking that far ahead.
Representative Barragan, the chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. And Representative Mfume for all of your years of leadership. And I want to recognize your next United States Senator, Angela also Brooks. And I've worked with her over the years. I'm telling you, Marilyn, you're going to do a great thing when you send her to the United States Senate. And of course, I could speak all afternoon about the person that I am standing on this stage with.
I don't see how Joe doing this. When I tell y'all, I promise you, I don't understand how this chopping off. Damn it. Child, hell no. Nah, there ain't no way.
Our extraordinary President Joe Biden. And he's going to speak in a minute, but there's a lot of love in this room for our president. And I think it's for many, many reasons, including few leaders in our nation have done more on so many issues, including to expand access to affordable health care than Joe Biden.
I'm gonna go ahead
and today we take the next step, thank you, Joe, forward in our fight.
She been drinking. She gets her tongue when that liquor get into her.
We here, we believe deeply. Every senior in our nation should be able to live with security, stability, and dignity. And so in the United States of America, no senior should have to choose between either filling their prescription or paying their rent. That's the subject of today. Because we know for far too long, far too many of our seniors have struggled to afford their medication. And as a result, seniors have been forced to spend their time trying to figure out how they are going to be able to fill a prescription like insulin based on the doctor's prescription, which is about saving their life, or whether they'd have to ration their pills to be able to make it stretch through a month. And why, we all know, but let's ask, why are prescription drugs so expensive? I will tell you. Well, one big reason is for years, Big Pharma has often inflated the price of life-saving medications, often charging many times what it would cost to make just to increase their profits. And millions of Americans have suffered as a result.
For a damn decade.
My entire career, I've worked to hold bad actors accountable and lower the cost of prescription drugs. As Attorney General of California, I took on pharmaceutical companies for deceptive marketing and illegally inflating the cost of drugs, and we won billions of dollars. As a United States Senator, I fought to pass laws that would make healthcare more affordable and accessible for all Americans.
Well, what's up
And
with
as
that?
Vice
Bring down
President,
these
together
doctor
with
visits.
Joe Biden, our president, we finally addressed the longstanding issue that for years was one of the biggest challenges on this subject, which was that Medicare was prohibited by law from negotiating lower drug prices. And those costs then got passed on to our seniors, but not anymore. Two years ago, we gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices for the first time in history. And here is why that matters. It is nearly impossible for a patient to negotiate lower prices by themselves. Just think about that. Somebody who needs the medication, who may be suffering from a serious illness, that they would buy themselves.
Why y'all just jump straight to medication? How about not getting fucked up in the first place?
It's virtually impossible. It's one person against a huge corporation. But Medicare represents more than 65 million people. And so Medicare has collective bargaining power. And now Medicare can use that power to go toe-to-toe with Big Pharma and negotiate lower drug prices.
Well, Medicare is a big corporation. We're going to be honest about it.
Thank you, Joe.
Child.
And this is to the benefit of not only tens of millions of people on Medicare, but also millions of Americans on Medicare who have long-term disabilities. And understand, as a result of our negotiations, the government will also pay less than for prescription drugs. And think about what that means in terms of helping taxpayers.
Okay, well, how long before I see that in my check?
Whether or not they take these medications. So all of this is to say, 2 years ago as vice president, I was proud to cast the tie-breaking vote that sent the bill that gave Medicare the power to negotiate and let it get to the president's desk. And I was proud when our president, Joe Biden, signed that bill into law. In the 2 years since, we've been using this new power to lower the price of life-saving medication.
It took y'all 2 years to beat them down, and it still ain't free.
Negotiations. It is my eternal and great, great, great honor, I have to tell you, to serve with this most extraordinary human being and American and leader, our president, Joe Biden.
Okay, here we go, y'all.
Thank you, Kamala.
And then why y'all not in the hood? Because Prince
Well,
George's
love you
County is the
guys,
most
too.
prosperous county in the state of Maryland. Why y'all there?
I've been waiting for this moment for a long, long time. First time I sponsored a bill to let Medicare negotiate the price of drugs was in 1973 as a freshman senator with a guy named Frank Church from the state of Idaho. Folks, I have an incredible partner. The progress we've made, she's going to make one hell of a president. And Judy, thank you for sharing your story. It's a really one for far too many Americans. People like my dad used to lay in bed at night when they lost his insurance as the company he worked for, staring at the ceiling, literally. And you've all experienced, you know, people have experienced.
Why do y'all know, as a kid, y'all know all y'all parents' business? If
my wife gets breast cancer, or if I get sick, or my children get seriously ill, what happens? What in God's name, how can we pay for the drugs, prescription drugs? I'm serious, these are the discussions. You know it.
Why were you privy to that as a child?
Do we have enough insurance? Can we afford the medical bills? We'll have to sell the house, you got a second mortgage. There are discussions that took place in my house and your house.
No, they didn't take place in my house.
Both get it. We know it isn't just about health care. It's about your dignity. No, it's about your dignity.
Okay, he went straight into emotion. Straight down. He didn't waste no time.
Security. It's about taking care of your family. It's about giving folks just a little bit more breathing room. That's all. Look, I believe that health care should be a right, not a privilege in America. And Kamala and I are here today to make a major announcement on our efforts to lower the extraordinary high prescription drug prices. Before I do, I want to thank Governor Wes Moore and members of Congress. I served in the Senate for 270 years. I know I only look 40, but I'm a little bit older. The longest time I was too damn young because I was only about 29 when I got elected. Now I'm too damn old. But I'll tell you one thing in between. One of the finest, most decent men I've ever worked with. When I think of integrity, is Ben Cardin. Stand up, Ben. Stand up. I really mean it. I measure the people I work with by their integrity. He does what he says and says what he does. Look, folks, also, Nanette Barragan, for the longest time, she tried to pretend with me she was Irish, named Barragan. She's a great friend, and she's one of the great leaders in this country for the Hispanic community. Congressman Fume, where are you? Stand up, man. I've never once gone to this man and asked for help, and I haven't gotten it. Not one single time. Thank you, pal. Thank you. And you're soon to be senator. Where is she? It's a hell of a lot easier job than being a county executive. I was a county official. They expect you can solve every problem. You don't have the authority to do it. You don't have enough money. But I'm looking forward. I told her I campaigned for or against whichever helped the most. Along with members of my administration, Javier Becerra, HHS, Administrator Brooks LaSalle, CMS administrators here today. And let me say something. We're all thinking about my good friend, and he is a really good friend for a long time, Steny Hoyer. He represents the western shore of Delaware. Y'all think we're kidding. We have that fight all the time. I wish him a speedy recovery. I understand he's doing well. Folks, This is a fight all of us have been fighting for a long time, taking on Big Pharma. We pay more for prescription drugs. It's not hyperbole. We pay more for prescription drugs than any advanced nation in the world. I could take you out on Air Force One, and if you have a prescription from a drug company in America, and fly you to Toronto, Canada, fly you to Paris, France, fly you to Belgium, fly you anywhere around the world, and get you the same prescription filled for the same company for 40 to 60% less than we pay for it here. Too many Americans can't afford the drugs they badly need for life and death. So they skip doses, cut pills in half, forego prescriptions entirely because the prescription drugs are totally unaffordable. The woman you met, the nurse you just met, she's paid $900 a month. Well, guess what, man? She's going to pay nowhere near that. $9,000.
Okay.
She's going to pay.
Story might have been a little bit more powerful if she, if she needed the $9,000 and didn't have no way to get it, but she said she paid it, which means she had the damn $9,000.
Expensive drug, like a cancer drug. Maximum she ever has to
I'm
pay
just
is
saying.
$2,000.
So it would have been a little bit more powerful.
That's why from the time I was in the Senate, I worked tirelessly to give Medicare the power to negotiate lower drug prices, just like the Department of Veterans Affairs. In fact, I was reminded by staff today, one of the first major bills I worked on was in 1973. I co-sponsored legislation led by Senator Frank Church that let Medicare negotiate the cost of drugs.
Now get back here for that mic.
1973, this fight's been going on. You know, the VA pays, as they should, 50% less than Medicare because VA can negotiate the prices. But for years, Big Pharma blocked Medicare from negotiating lower drug prices. The consequence, they're able to maintain the exorbitant price increases and the profits are uncalled for. Look, but this time we finally beat Big Pharma. And I might add, with no help from Republicans, not a single Republican voted for this bill, period, not one in the entire Congress. Now, the reason I say that is not to make a political point about them, not if they have gotten their lesson, but guess what? They want to, the guy we're running against, what's his name? Donald Dump or Donald, whatever. They want to get rid of this, what we passed. They're fighting to get rid of what we've just passed. No, I'm serious. No help from Republicans passed the Inflation Reduction Act thanks to the tie-breaking vote of Kamala made it possible. Folks, it really matters. For example, take the insulin needed to treat diabetes. The guy who invented that insulin 100 years ago didn't put a patent on it because he wanted it to be available for everybody. He didn't even patent it. Well, guess you know how much it costs those companies to make that insulin? $10, T-E-N. That's the God's truth. $10, number one. Number two, to package it and ship it, you might get it up to $13. But they were charging up to $400 a month for it. But now they can't charge more than $35 a month.
That part right there, definitely. That part right there.
It's a big deal.
I think people like taking drugs.
No.
That's what I think.
Look, $35 a month. These guys still make enormous profits. That's 3 times what it cost them to make it. The initial legislation capped the cost for everyone on who needed that insulin. How many of you know anybody needs insulin for diabetes? Raise your hand. Okay, well, guess what? The next 3 months we got here, I'm not leaving here, and Kamala, when she's president, going to make sure if we don't get it done, everybody should qualify for that $35 a month.
Oh, you like qualify for the 35. Oh, okay.
Folks, that's not all.
Oh, thanks for that tidbit, Joe, because I didn't know that, because I don't take it.
Starting in January of this year, every senior in the United States of America, no matter what their cost of drugs, and like I said, some of these cancer drugs are $12,000 a year. Every single penny they spend, they never have to spend more than $2,000 a year for all drugs. All drugs. And we're going to fight to make sure everyone qualifies for that as well. Look.
You know what? That made way too much sense.
Not only save lives, but here's the point people don't talk enough about. It saves the taxpayers billions of dollars. What we've done so far.
When I'm going to see this in my check,
Joe? Save the taxpayers over the next 10 years $160 billion. Taxpayers. Lowering the debt. I mean it. Because they don't have to pay the exorbitant price that Medicare had to pay before. They're going to pay $35 instead of $400, folks. And those savings are only going to increase for American taxpayers because it matters. Look, but that's not all the Inflation Reduction Act did. Last summer, I announced under that law, Medicare is going to select, and it's already passed law, 10 drugs a year, going up to 20 till we get every single drug every year. Drugs treat from everything from heart failure, blood clots, kidney disease, arthritis, blood cancers, and more. And today, I'm proud to announce that Medicare has reached agreement with all manufacturers on all 10 drugs selected in the first round of negotiations. The new lower prices for all 10 drugs will go into effect in January of 2026. Not this January, next January.
You got to be shitting me.
Negotiations cut the price of these 10 drugs for Judy and others who are Medicare nearly 40 to 80%, depending which drug it is. Let me give you one example.
That's why they agreed to that shit, because they know Trump coming.
Cost $530 a month. Some of you may know that. Guess what?
That's what that's about.
It's now only going to cost $115. By the way, these new prices on 10 drugs accumulatively mean $1.5 billion less out of pocket for patients to the drug companies. Lower copays for many of the 9 million seniors who take these drugs. That's not all. We're also saving the American taxpayer because of the new changes, $6 billion a year, because Medicare won't have to pay out.
I have to wait for 27 to see if that's accurate.
$6 billion a year. But we could do that for child care and health care and so much more. We're just getting started. Under the law I signed, Medicare can negotiate.
Why have a bunch of kids you don't want to take care of?
15 the following and 20 after that.
The best way to combat child care costs is to stay home with your kids.
That's the law. Now. This is another really big deal. It means that Americans can save more money on from life-saving medications they need and deserve. To bring peace of mind. It's hard to explain. Kamala and I are going to keep fighting to lower the prescription drug costs for everyone, not just seniors. It's a fight that we have to continue. Folks, but guess what? Surprise, surprise. Big Pharma doesn't want this to happen.
Why is this dude back here with the green and black tie looking like he don't want to hear none of this?
$400 million lobbying the Congress to stop this. $400 million. Worked pretty well. They didn't get one Republican voting against them. They all voted for him. Republican allies stuck with him. And the ability of the federal government to negotiate lower drug prices was tried to be stopped. But Kamala and all of us in this room, we're going to keep standing up for Big Pharma. I fought too damn hard to yield now. We're not backing down. And get this, you may have heard about the MAGA Republican Project 2025 plan.
There you go. That's the lies.
They want to repeal Medicare's power to negotiate drug prices. Let Big Pharma back to charging whatever they want. Let me tell you what our Project 2025 is.
Yeah, let's hear about y'all's version. Yeah, because I know there is one, right? Written by the same people who wrote the Project 2025 they keep wanting to throw on Trump. The same group wrote one for each party.
In January 25, total prescription drugs cost will be capped at $2,000, no matter how expensive they
And
are.
I'm just a quick
Some
plan
expensive,
because
12 a year, 12
major
a month, I should say.
pharmaceutical that's
Kamala
a
Harris and
Democrat
Democrats in
thing.
Congress will make sure
Guns
the $2,000 cap covers everyone, not just seniors as well.
industry is a Republican
Insulin
thing.
costs just $35 for everyone, not just
Like,
seniors.
let's be for real.
Our Project 25 will lower prescription drug costs for you, your families, instead of handing big pharma a big.
You got that
blank
written
check.
down, Joe?
And look,
Where the paperwork?
and in the process, this is what we don't talk enough about, I don't think. In the process, we're going to save the taxpayer. The budget's going to be reduced by hundreds of billions of dollars. Hear me? Hundreds of billions of dollars. Just the first year, the first thing we passed is 160.
Okay, Joe, it's Thursday. Don't talk too long, because now you know you got to get your strength and stuff together to make your little speech Monday at the
It can
convention.
pay out for education,
Don't talk too
it can pay out
long,
for
Joe.
healthcare, it can pay out for so much
You're
more.
gonna need a couple days
or
of
it can
rest.
just simply reduce the deficit. He has exploded. Folks, that's what I call a win. Folks, there's more. My predecessor and his MAGA friends in Congress tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act, which is different. Obamacare. They tried to
That I
repeal
don't
it
know
over
anybody
50
who qualified
times.
for, but
We stopped them. Along the way, I made the Affordable Care Act even stronger, protecting a million more Americans with pre-existing conditions. And guess what? There's over 40 million. MAGA Republicans in Congress don't want to cut Medicare, and so they want to cut Medicare and Social Security.
damn, Joe, that's so.
Why?
Ooh,
They want to give another.
I say stop talking, sir.
We're proposing another $5 trillion tax cut for the mega wealthy. By the way, this guy we're running against, when he was president, he gave a $2 trillion tax cut to super wealthy. You know what that was? He generated the largest deficit any president has in American history.
Absolutely
I
not
love these
true.
Republicans talking about cutting spending.
Absolutely
You know,
not true.
we have 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what their average tax they pay is? 8.2%. Introduced a bill to say that you got to pay a minimum of 25%. You know what that would raise? $500 billion over the next 10 years. Imagine what we could do with that. Imagine the taxes we could cut for ordinary people. Well, look, Kamala and I have a better idea. We're going to protect Medicare and Social Security and make sure the wealthy pay their
You
fair
can't protect
share.
shit if you ain't there, sir.
And by the way, that means making the tax code fair. Look, in addition, we also announced steps to crack down on anti-competitive practices in healthcare. How many of you know we've been going after things called junk fees? Junk health insurance plans. But that ones that look affordable. When you take the cover off, you find out there's a number of hidden costs. We're going after them and trying to get rid of them. We're also cracking down on surprise medical billing. For example, when a patient goes in the hospital for surgery, if it turns out his anesthesiologist is not in his network, you can get a surprise bill for another $1,000. But we're stopping that too. We're protecting 1 million healthcare providers. We're protecting 1 million Americans every month from unexpected medical bills. We're working to ban the use of medical debt on credit reporting.
Okay, now I can get with that. I can get down for that, Joe. I can get down for that.
Years ago, I had 2 craniotomies because I had aneurysm. My
Oh, that's
bill,
what's
if I
wrong
didn't have
too.
insurance, was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, guess what? It matters. It matters whether or not, if I didn't have insurance the rest of my life, I couldn't do anything. I wouldn't be
So
able
you're
to
not
buy
poor.
anything. Wouldn't be
Let's
able
not
to
do
have a
this.
credit. Wouldn't be able to. Now we're going to get rid of healthcare costs being on your. You have to still owe it, but you don't have to get your credit doesn't affect it. Look, I'm a capitalist. I have no problem with companies making money, but not by price gouging seniors and working families. I grew up in a family where my dad used to say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. And I really mean this. This is what he would say. My dad was a well-read guy. Never got a chance to go to college. You talk about what we needed to do for ordinary working, hard-working people. We changed the whole way we look at the economy. Used to be this idea of trickle-down economics. Even Democrats accepted it. Some Democratic presidents accepted it. That if you're wealthy, makes a lot of money, it'll trickle down to the rest of us. Well, I didn't notice a single penny trickle down to my dad's kitchen table. But guess what now? We measure everything the following way. We build from the middle out and the bottom up, and if they do well, everybody does well. Not a joke. And any money I get to spend as president, I spend it on being made in America by Americans. Americans don't like being played for suckers. We believe we should be patient.
Who is the American electric car maker?
Reasonable profits, not unreasonable. Look, let me close with this. It's all about health care. It's about lowering costs for families. It's about fairness and security. It's about the dignity for people like Judy and millions of Americans all across the country. It's exactly what we're doing. There's more we can do for everyone. We can't give up. They told me every major piece of legislation we passed to give us the strongest economy in history and the strongest economy in the world. We got more to do for working people. By the way, everybody does better when there's more unions. So we're finally getting it done. We can't stop now. We just have to remember who in the hell we are. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity in this country. We work together. Nothing. I'll tell you what, I thank God that in the last 3 months I'm President of the United States, I was able to finally get done what I tried to get done when I was a young senator at 30 years old. Thank you, God. Thank you. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
Black men just not looking at food. I'm sorry. The women crunk. Some men looking like. I just had to go to camera. I don't know about that Jackie Wilson. They get gone, don't they? All right, y'all. So we have heard about the wait a minute, y'all having a conversation. I'm gonna let y'all work that out. While I pull this up. How about the lower prescription? They have selected 10 medications. They have been able to supposedly get the cost down. Yeah, I have a conversation. What he say? He said the crowd looks like America. Eric says, why does that matter? Defno said it does not look like America. It look like Maryland. Well, yeah, can't really argue with that part. I mean, but let's see what Dover got to say. Because I mean, he might, you know what I'm saying, see something we don't see. That's why we doing this. To get, you know what I'm saying, perspective. Why does that matter? Dover said, why does what matter? Had more black folk than anything. That is not the makeup of America. Well, yeah, I might have to go along with that. While we waiting on Dover to give us his thoughts on that, while we were watching the press conference on Kamala Harris's YouTube page, there was a chit chat session with her and Tim Walz that premiered. So we're gonna take a quick peek at that. It's only about 10 minutes long, and we're gonna see what these two, you know what I'm saying, cooked up for the camera. We said, why y'all making this about race? Okay. I don't know, but we're gonna take a peek at this real quick. So y'all can see what y'all. He said if they had 100 people in the room, about 12, 13 would be black if you want the makeup of America. Yeah, we what? 13% of the population? If you were not talking about race, what do you mean about America? Okay, y'all. Well, let's see how this is gonna go real quick. We're just gonna take a peek.
Time in America, we're a touchdown down, and I kind of like the idea of being a little bit behind.
Well, I'm looking at Coach Walz right now. I'm looking at Coach Walz.
Like I have white guy tacos and
What is
like
that?
black,
Like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
pretty much ground beef and cheese.
That's
and,
okay. Do you put any flavor in it?
No.
Oh.
Here's the deal. No, they said to be careful and let her know this, that black pepper is the top of the spice level in Minnesota, you know.
I'm the first vice president, I believe, who has ever grown chili peppers.
I'm trying to expand
We'll
my
figure that-
my food knowledge.
You know, we've got some cantaloupes. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I
I
called
was hoping
you,
maybe
Tim.
we wouldn't have to.
I called you, Tim.
Yes,
You didn't answer, Tim.
I know.
What happened?
The most important call of my life. It popped up, and we didn't recognize the caller ID, and it went to voicemail.
Hi, this is Jim. I'm not able to answer.
There you go.
Responsible. Thank you.
Hey, Tim, it's Kamala. I really want to talk to you.
It is an amazing privilege for me. Also, I'm excited. I just want to be part of the excitement that you're generating.
Well,
So
we're doing it together, buddy.
It's fun.
We're doing it together. How have these last couple of days been for you?
I can see where the energy comes.
Notice how she
America is a
asking all
hopeful
the
country.
questions.
Indeed.
People are excited.
In every one of those groups of thousands, sometimes over 10,000 people,
Well,
you've seen exactly who we are as America.
Yeah.
People from rural areas, urban areas, of every stripe and size and background. This is who we are as America, and we're
Yeah.
all in it together.
Yeah.
And in this campaign, the only way we win is to keep the pedal to the metal for these next many, many days that we have. So, Tim,
Yeah.
what's your relationship to music?
Yeah. For me, the transformational piece of music was Bruce Springsteen's The River,
Okay.
which is a journey. You know all the tracks,
Yeah.
and I'm that guy. My first car, it's the summer 1980, been saving up. I buy a 1973 orange Chevy Camaro, got an 8-track player in it.
Oh, wow.
Previous owner left Bob Seger's Night Moves in there. I listened to it, and it's kind of the soundtrack of my life of Detroit's own Bob Seger. But what's really great about this is I have a '79 International is my car. It's got an 8-track player in it. I have the very 8-track to this day.
You're kidding me.
Man, no, but how about you?
I grew up, so all these albums here. I mean, Aretha. My mother had every Aretha album, and like our Christmas gift to my mother, her birthday gift was always like, what's the latest Aretha Franklin record?
So it's on vinyl in your house as a
all of it.
Wow.
All that and Stevie. And then Miles, and my dad loved jazz. And so it was Miles, it was Coltrane. One of my personal favorite musicians for when I was younger was Prince.
Oh.
And of course, from your estate. And he, in fact, I'll tell you, so my husband Doug and I'm more of a hip hop girl.
Yeah.
He's more of Depeche Mode.
Oh yeah, about the same time.
Yeah, I'm sure you
of
like
course,
the same music.
of course.
But Prince, in the Venn diagram of things, Prince, he and I love the same, because talk about how Prince was with that guitar, man. I almost know by heart every one of those songs.
I feel like a trip to Paisley Park is going to happen here if the staff.
It's on my bucket list. I'll tell you that. Tell me about your dad and his influence on you.
Yeah.
He served our country. You have served for our country for so many years.
Yeah. I was 19. My little brother, I think, was eight or nine when he passed. He was a chain smoker. Just addicted. They got a Korean War era. And that generation of men, pretty stoic. After he died, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She became our rock. And now she had to go out and get work because the medical bills broke her. And Social Security. And Social Security survivor benefits. We're fine pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps. We had no boots. That's the boots.
And it's survival,
We paid
literally.
It is survival. We all paid it back. So programs that are just fundamental to keeping people from dropping into poverty, but to live with dignity. You keep talking about that.
We got to help people get through a hard time. We can't have a country and policies that let people fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
I love what you have done with your life. You were coaching a high school football team that was winless.
Yes.
And you came in and so they were clearly the underdogs.
And
what happened?
Yeah, it's a team. And I had great coaches with me and we were friends and we buckled down. And look, I was a fairly big school, but nobody wanted to play because they hadn't won. And this group of coaches said, first and foremost, we gotta build the team. We got to go out and find people. So we invited them in. And I'll be honest, the first year, we did not score a touchdown until the last game of the year. We got shut out in every game. My high score until the final game was my defensive tackle because we got a safety in one game. 2 years later, those kids won a state championship. That school has won several more since then.
Right.
After we left. You build culture. You build winning.
Right.
People want to be a part of it. And that's the excitement. That's the excitement of what it can be.
That's how I feel about our campaign.
Yeah.
Our campaign is the underdog campaign.
Oh, yeah.
And with our joy, we also have to understand that we're still up against some forces
Yes.
that are trying to divide our country. It pains me the kind of division and the stoking of divisions that has taken place, right? And when we can remind people and create a space for everyone to come where they see each other and say,
magic.
Hey, we're all in this together.
It almost feels like everybody's coming out of their house after a blizzard and, a Minnesota reference, and you shovel out and then you start talking to your neighbors. How was it the last couple of days or whatever it might be? They're re-energizing and they're looking for their neighbors. We keep saying, keep talking about the promise of America. And we say, take care of your neighbor.
In the face of a stranger, when you're looking in the face of a stranger, you should see a neighbor, right?
Yeah. I'm about crying on this when you talk about, look, a girl from Oakland, California and a guy from out in Nebraska on there. And the number of people I watch just kind of nod and break into a smile, this exploiting the differences, it can't last. I talk about it being halftime in America. We're a touchdown down because a lot of folks, it's easier to tear things down. It's easier to divide than it is to build. But once you start that momentum, once we come out and where we're at right now, people want to be part of something that's winning. They want to be part of something that's good. And they want to be part of something that everybody can be a part of. And I kind of like the idea of being a little bit behind.
Well, I'm looking at Coach Walls right now. I'm looking at Coach Walls.
Did you always know you wanted to be an attorney?
My parents met when they were active in the civil rights movement. Now, I grew up around a bunch of people that were, marching and shouting for justice. And some of the heroes of that movement were the lawyers, Thurgood Marshall, right? They understood how to translate the passion from the streets to the courtrooms of our country. And they believed in the Constitution of the United States and the principles upon which it was founded. And that's where they then, in the courts of America, reminded us of the promise, right? And the ideals of our country, including equality, freedom, right? That's why I went to law school. But the other reason is when I was in high school, my best friend, I learned, was being molested by her stepfather. And when I realized what was happening, I told her, you have to come live with us. I called my mom. You know, I have to tell you, Tim, it was the first time that I realized how not everyone can take their safety for granted.
Yeah.
And what we should all feel is a sense of responsibility to protect people from harm.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided I want to be a prosecutor.
Wow.
And as a prosecutor, I prosecuted homicide cases. I prosecuted a number of different types of cases, but I specialized in child sexual assault cases. And one of the things I did was create a whole unit dedicated to focusing on children who are being abused and to ensure that they have dignity in the process and justice. There's so much work that we still have to do to make sure that children have a voice.
For me, that's kind of with me. Get in as a teacher. It's about the kids and wherever you teach.
Right.
Once I had my own children, it became so clear to me. And I think it made me a really good teacher.
Yeah.
That child who came through the door was somebody's most special thing in their life.
Absolutely.
Thinking of a parent dressing their little one up and sending them off to school, so proud of them. I wanted to come through that door and just lift them up, that sense of service.
And
it's
it's
interesting,
great to
two different
try.
parts of the country, two different lived experiences, but all coming to that same goal of everybody getting a fair shot.
Well, you know, I have to tell you, Tim, even though you and I grew up in different parts of the country, you remind me of the people I grew up with. Hardworking folks, plain speaking.
Yeah.
People who know the difference between right and wrong.
Yep.
And care, love thy neighbor in the most authentic and true way.
Yeah.
Those are the folks I grew up with. And I know that's who you are. And I'm so glad we're doing this together.
I'm proud to be with you.
All right, y'all. This is what they're doing.
I talk about it being.
This where they at. Oh, okay, y'all in here. Wow. Y'all, I don't understand why folks can't come to a space and not be comfortable with the fact that everybody ain't gonna see things the way you see it. And be even less comfortable with being able to defend your position. Like, I don't be understanding that shit. Like, are y'all folks really out here moving, where they just not accustomed to anybody asking them to defend their position or explain it? Like, come on. Why is a word? It really is. All right, y'all. We'll go ahead and wrap this up because Trump will be on about 4:30. So you believe in free speech, even if it's babble. I mean, I can dig it. Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up because, like I said, Trump will be on around 4:15, 4:30. So we will be back for that. Again, I do appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by. Make sure your notifications on, and I'll see y'all in about an hour. Y'all take care.